Sometimes it feels like the Muppet Show. Sometimes it feels like the Muppet Show with me. Chris Courtney here, new Pragmatic. Just dawned on me. Didn't hit start streaming. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. It's the feedback loop. It's not quite part two. I didn't get too far with it. But it was always good to actually hit the button so we're connected. I hope you're riding along in the Discord channel. If you've got questions, I want to encourage you to ask. Yesterday we had a lot of great questions come through about grids. And this morning we're going to take a detour. Kara has submitted her user story, so we're going to take a look at that. Also, Rebecca's got an interesting business strategy thing that we're going to take a peek at as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this underway. I am actually testing. Hey there, it works. I'm hoping that's showing up for everybody. I'm going to just test that really quickly again. Yeah, that Shift 6 is showing up. That's a new little plugin that I've got running here. Anyway, there's a new keystroke. Oh, I think it's right there. No, it's not. Oh well, no big deal. Although that's kind of interesting. Show keyboard viewer. Oh, that's interesting. Is it going to follow? Oh, hey, it follows along. Well, that's nice. I thought I turned that on last night, but it's really too big, I think. I think that is just a little too big to see. So we're going to put that away. Anyway, so Chris Courtney here. Let's go ahead and get started with Kara's user stories. And full disclosure, the whole this is part of her. Let's go over here to user, not personas, but stories. So here's user stories, and at the end of this, oh god, this is one of my favorite videos ever because it really it really talks about what happens when you don't think about the when you just kind of take instructions and you don't really think through what you're building and what happens with the product when it pops out the other side. When we're talking about these user stories, we're really trying to take the personas and the scenarios that we had in the prior chapter and begin building up individual stories that are associated with the user and the secondary roles around those. And right now Kara has identified she has Melanie and Jessica are her two user personas, and then she has a number of secondary roles that she's considering as well. The thing to keep in mind is that she has begun to hint around at it at the bottom, and what we see here is new user. I want to sign up for a subscription so I can become a member. That is an interesting piece of the puzzle to think about, because I'm assuming that Melanie and Jessica are in fact subscribers. They are not new users. But there's a line here. There's a line here to think about in terms of what can I do as a new user? Like, can I see the menu? Do I have to log in to place an order? Like, there are things that we just take for granted, I believe, when we're going through and speccing out a product for the first time, and we forget to think about user state. User state is pretty important, and I'm so glad that you identified a new user here, but I think there are other things that only a new user can do. There are things that Melanie and Jessica had to become a subscriber to do. For instance, I want to customize the proteins throughout the week. If we think about the ordering tree, we think about the things that you do in terms of setting up an order. Could I customize the proteins for the week in terms of I'm setting up what my order is going to be? Would I need to be logged in to do that? Or could I do that before I'm actually a user and then once I get to like the payment stage, I then become a user. So in terms of thinking about Melanie or Jessica, that's nice. I think that that is really guiding your user stories. But I wanna zoom out a little bit and think about, okay, when you know Melanie was editing her profile because she wanted to update her address. At some point, she needed to create a profile. So that needs to be, anytime I look through here, I see. Let's just go through and look at this all at once. I want to cancel orders for a certain time period. That implies that I've created orders. I want to order food for 1 day a week, only myself, but keeping my normal 5 day plan. That implies that I've created a 5 day plan. I want to order additional side items. That implies that I've ordered items. I want to select my lunches for the week. That could be just from the beginning. I want to edit my profile. That implies that I have a profile to edit. I want to filter meals by protein. That could be a total new user activity. I want to filter the meals just to see what the protein options are. I want to filter the meals to see what the vegetarian options are. So right now that's written as Melanie. That could be as a user. That could be any user. That could be a new user or an existing user like Melanie. I want to switch my week's order. I want to switch my week's order. I want to switch this week's order. Anyway, regardless of that, these are user stories. This is not a grammatical test. I want to switch my week's order. So this is an existing user. So I need to place this week's order would be something a new user could do that. I need to set up my first week order, or I need to change this week's order, which is Jessica as a existing user. I want to view my past orders. That's total. That you wouldn't do that as a new user. You wouldn't have past orders. I want to change my billing info. That implies that you've added billing info. So that's one that as a user I need to add my billing info. As an existing user, I need to change my billing info. I want to view a user's order. That's totally an order. That's something that somebody who's setting up the meal kits on like at the store. That's something that they would need that a user wouldn't necessarily need. That sounds more like that would be part of potentially a dashboard of things. I want to view a user's orders. A user's order likely is coming from, I want to view all orders for today. So that instead of, and from there, if you think about this, and this is really what user stories are all about, we want to think about the orders. I'm thinking from the perspective of the order receiver. I want to see all the orders so I can basically plan, okay, how fast do I need to work here? And then I want to click into an individual user to see all the details that Melanie or Jessica may have added. So that is a logical user story, but I believe that there is one more. I would never view just individual orders. I would probably view a dashboard of orders and then click on a specific order to get to the details. I want to view a map of pending deliveries. That's really smart because you want to see what's ahead of you. I have to go across the town, and I can speak to this because in college I used to be a pizza delivery driver. I didn't drive a pizza, but that would be cool. But I would plan out I would route based on how old is this order, how much did they order, and what's my logical path. Unfortunately, a lot of times I would go as far out as I could and then work my way back, rather than going out, because I was always trying to work back to the store. So a map of pending deliveries is smart. I want to check off delivery as complete. That's just like the driver has a list. and he's going through making sure that he or she is aware of what's still out. Um, and you could also look at that from the perspective of a like if I'm running one of these kitchens, or if I'm running the operation, I want to see outstanding orders. Like, so it could be a dashboard view of that. Melanie, we're back to our users. I want to search offerings by ingredient. So I could say I want to search for I want to search for things that have carrots. For whatever reason, I might want carrot cake, or I might want a stew, or I might want carrots in a salad. Like, there's all sorts of options there. I want to submit feedback or ask a question. That could be a new or existing user, because if I have a question about the service, that could be the same apparatus used as I need to submit feedback on my order because it was no good this time. Grocery store, I want to update on the offerings for the day week. I want to update offerings for the day week. Okay, so this is somebody saying, okay, we're going to switch up the menu. Makes logical sense. I want to offer coupons and discounts periodically. So this is interesting because this implies that there might be offerings at one store versus another, which is an interesting secondary rule. And this is really where, as you begin to get into your story mapping, you're going to begin to spec out, okay, what's a high priority and what's really not necessarily going to make this sprint. And that's one of those ones that I see as like, yeah, it's a good idea. I don't necessarily know if you're going to put that in the first version of this. Melanie, she wants to rate her past meals. A vegan user wants to select vegan only options. That's a filtering. New user, I want to sign up for a subscription. These are good. Okay. What I might suggest though is adding a sheet down here, and I might even just duplicate this sheet, users, and in doing that, what I believe that you'll find is that it inserts a lot of natural questions about what tasks can a new user do that set up some of these that are like edit profile and filter meals. What are, or switch my week's order, view past orders. Okay, that implies existing. So those move to existing user. For new users, there's a number of things I want to sign up for subscription. That's clearly new. I want to order food. I want to set up an order. That could be a new user or an existing user. I want to select my lunches for the week. That could be a new user. I want to add my billing info. I need to create a profile. Those are all new user tasks. So really, Kara, you've got a lot of great stories here. Many of them straddle the line of something that a new or existing user could do, but many of these that I see right now are, I want to edit something that's existing, or I want to change something that's existing, or I want to view something that I did in the past. And that implies that you came in and were at one point in time a new user who did all of those steps. So I really think that overall, this is a good start, but we need the side of this that says, I'm going to come in and begin, because none of this is set up as a it's already in existence. Everybody starts from the beginning, and what does that look like for somebody like a Melanie or a Jessica who become an existing user? What are the things in the journey that have to be there for them to say, man, I really love this? Okay, so keep that in mind. I think this is a great start. I think we need to build a little bit more toward how they got started, so that they then can edit the profile and filter the meals and switch the orders. Okay? All right, so that's pretty strong. I'm going to take a peek here, and we've got a few things here in the chat, so let's take a peek. Looks like Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. People are reporting Disney Plus issues. Well, unfortunately, I am not on the Disney Plus team. Although I do have a former student that works at Disney. Actually, I have a couple of former students that work at Disney. That's weird. I hope that they are not being all too stressed out today by all of the Disney Plus news that I see sprinkling around the internet. Um, all right, so that was just a couple of updates from Daily Stand Up. So good to see everybody flowing through the program. Let's go ahead and hop over here to Silly Candy, or Silla Candy. I keep saying Silly Candy like there's two L's, and it's Silla as in silicone. And if you've seen this at all, Rebecca had a company that made physical like silicone molds, and they would make like gummy bears and things like that. It's really cool. Anyway, she's got a retail strategy section to her case study. So Rebecca has one of the more elaborate case studies that I've seen. In that it was really a business that drove her into becoming a designer, and in this, there's a lot of strategy that if she talked about the strategy, and she talked about all the products and the websites and things in one case study, it would be just this massive long experience. And I've advised her to break these things out, like have a paragraph about your strategy in the case study, but then have a link to a deeper dive into the retail strategy, because she's got a lot of experience that if you distill the case study down into little paragraphs here and there, you might miss the fact that this person had to get their product into retail stores and pitch to places like Target, and dealt with overseas shipping of goods and receiving containers with thousands of physical articles. That takes management, okay? And managing those situations is that gives you, I believe, really a leg up when you're talking about doing product design. Now, you could certainly make the argument of, well, a lot of that isn't straight digital HTML CSS. Yes and no. She also had to deal with online shopping platforms like Zulily and Shopify and Amazon. So I really feel like getting the retail strategy out and into the case study, even if it's just a link off to the side to a document like this, is a good idea. Although we're going to have this actually exist in her portfolio of work. So so this is a strategy. The mission statement. So she had several of them. It looks like logo as a tagline. So this is just kind of setting up the how it's going to flow, the tone, branding, products. So this is kind of giving you an idea of what the products were like. Button or image, see brand, asset key, skills to build or teach, independence, teamwork, patience, collaboration, proper hygiene. So this is what the skills that the product was meant to teach to the kids. Image of kids using products and learning, 5-year vision. So this is the 5-year vision. I wanted Silly Candy to become a solid lifestyle brand worldwide that people could trust. I envisioned an interactive brand that reaches out to customers via social media and with a fun app. I wrote a plan on how to encourage kids to learn new things, experiment more age appropriately in the kitchen. I want it to enrich people's lives by making their life easier and making seemingly mundane housework more fun. So here she talks about her gross sales, and she shipped over 8,000 pieces of product altogether in 2015. There were 411 pieces ordered that we could not fulfill. I cannot disclose the dollar. Right, and that's fine. We projected a 30% increase. We were negotiating a big order with an Australian distributor. So here's some product information, maybe positioning the product SKU should be on the actual product page. Yeah, I agree with that, Rebecca. I don't necessarily think that you have to get into to that information here. At the time of the writing, Silly Candy. At the time of the writing, Silly Candy Hero SKU. Silly Candy's Hero SKU was our cookie stamp set, and yeah, so more attractive cookie cutters, developing fine motor skills. So I do think that, the cookie stamp, you could click to the gallery, or keep in mind eventually you will have that cookie stamp page for that product. So I think you could just loop around to that page. So here you're talking about gummy bear positioning, ice cream placemat positioning, measuring cup positioning. I think the positioning, it might give you an opportunity, and I'm looking at how these things can cross promote one another. When you talk about product information, this might be where I encourage you to reuse that grid. So she's designed a grid for her main case study page, and I might encourage you to reuse that grid here so that people can go to the cookie stamp, people can go to the gummy bear, the ice cream placemat, the measuring, the moat, all of these. Oh, I'm sorry, not the moat. That was something else. But I think that you could include all of these things in the actual product page, and that would allow you to talk about for a full view of Silly Candy's product positioning. Read the strategy page, and then you go through the strategy page, and it says for a more in-depth, for a specific look at a particular product, click on the products below, and those products would take you, those links would take you to the individual product pages where you're talking about this positioning specifically. So I think there might be an opportunity to cross-promote between your items. But again, our focus, Rebecca, is to get you out the door. Like this, we want this page up and on the site by the end of the week. Today is Tuesday. I think it's totally possible, but we still need to see the Silly Candy main case study, which you were clearly writing yesterday. That's like the idea there is to get that up like tomorrow. So I am looking for that. We're pushing an accelerated timeline, obviously, for Rebecca as well. So let's take a peek here. It says a moat. We open custom molds for all of our products with our trademark branding inside of them. While it is not hard to open a mold, it is an expensive process, and smaller companies usually wouldn't bother. We plan to work fast to build a brand and turn over new products and add-ons. Silly Candy is different. We were the only bakeware to obtain CPSIA testing, which guarantees products are safe for children. That's super cool. This is important because it indicates. So if you were the only people to go through and get testing and do testing that met a certain threshold for safety reasons, it tells me a couple of things about you ethically. It also tells me what you would do for user testing in a UX project. I mean, testing's kind of at your core. I might say testing for safety, a moat, or something that gets to the fact that you're willing to go above and beyond to test these products out. And here you're going into your target customer and your secondary customer, and here you have your competitive analysis. We didn't sell very conventional products. The competition was different, and obviously you're still fleshing that out. Yeah, the big thing here, and it's very much like Rebecca. It's very much like the the main homepage, the main Silicandi case study, is I see an opportunity to break it out, and it's not breaking it out into new pages. It's breaking it out, breaking some of this product information on the SKUs out, so that it's paired with actual product pages that you're already building anyway, and that will keep this from getting too long. The big goal here is I would like for people to get a sense that you went in to this and you had a strategy for getting Silicandi bumping sales. That's beyond just I'm going to put it on Amazon. Okay, that's a lot of brands that they just like, oh, I got a product and I'm just going to put it on Amazon. That's it. Like, you were really pushing forward. And what I haven't seen here, and maybe it's coming down here on competitive analysis, is maybe this is really where you begin talking about what the strategy was to get this into physical stores, and you had photos of it like in a Bed Bath and Beyond and a Sur La Table and places like that. So, like, I see the real like hunk of this forthcoming. The individual SKUs, move those to the products, and don't worry about. This is gross sales first year. I wouldn't worry about the pieces that you couldn't fulfill, and I wouldn't worry about the total dollar sales in the case study. I might put a line at the bottom underneath gross sales that if you'd like further details, if you'd like to talk about the sales strategy for Silicandi in more detail, contact me. And that would encourage them to reach out if somebody wanted to talk to you further. But it gets away from the I'm not going to disclose that in the case study, or there's a number of pieces we couldn't fulfill. Just focus on the shiny side of things and encourage people to contact you. Let's keep moving here. Yeah, I think that's really all that we have for right now with this case study. So I like it, Rebecca. I think it's really strong. I think the interesting stuff is what we haven't really gotten to yet, and I think the faster that you can get to that, the quicker this gets out there. All right. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is. I just want to check and make sure I'm not missing anything. I am glad that we were able to go more in depth with. I'm glad we were able to go more in depth with Kara's user stories, because I do think that user state is super important, and it's easy to lose track of. We think about our personas, and we think about, oh, well, these are users. Well, they when they first started, they weren't users. So what is that path? Like, what did they have to do to become a user? And we'll get into more things like what did they have to do to become a happy user in later discussions. But for now, I'm Chris Courtney. I'm Chris Courtney. I fail at words. Anyway, Chris Courtney here, Feedback Loop. Thanks so much for joining me. And remember, tomorrow night is really Figma plugin flows. I've put together a workshop tomorrow night where I'm going to be showing how to use several plugins together to accomplish certain tasks. It's really cool. I hope you will tune in. That's Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central. And also, Portfolio Potluck is back on Friday. So if you're watching this and you've got a portfolio you would like to have reviewed, be sure to submit that to Portfolio Potluck. The link is in the Discord channel. Otherwise, Chris Courtney, Feedback Loop. See ya.